Everybody, welcome to Worldview Finder. I'm Chris.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jimmy.
Welcome back. All right, this week we are going to finally tell your murder story, give a murder a ride. Because we teased it a couple episodes ago and then forgot.
We did forget.
So, sorry, everybody.
How could we forget?
That was mad. I know. And then we're going to be talking about NF's Gone, that song. It was really good. And then Adrian, you're going to be talking about Love is Blind.
Love is Blind. We started watching that.
This is the love episode.
Ooh, lots of love.
Yes. Well, so let's kick it off by talking about awkward dates. You guys have an awkward date story?
I'll get into some of my weird awkward date stuff.
Awkward
Gone.
dates.
But yeah, so my wife and I, we dated 9 years to the day before we got married. So we had several dates that were awkward. One in particular, so it might have been one of our anniversaries, because for our anniversaries we would find like the weirdest restaurants that we could. Like there's a place called Cross-Eyed Cricket that we went to.
Catfish Willie.
Yeah, it was
Cross-eyed cricket is the best.
I know,
Weird.
but back then it was
weird back then.
It was weird back in the day.
Okay.
Now it's like fancy. But then, so we went to the First Avenue Diner, and it was like it's a 24-hour place. We go in there, and there's a guy at a table that has like a ton of law books, and so like he was researching how to like sue his sister for something because it's going to come
That's
down
you
to
in
this.
the future.
It was my future self.
Oh my goodness.
And he knew, but he talked about like doing magic on the David Letterman show, and he was like, he was like talking, and he's like, yeah, David Letterman treated his wife so poorly. He's like, I did this trick where I flicked a match, and he's like, usually I make it go out, but he's like, I left it on and it caught his pocket on fire, and he was really mad. He kicked me off the show. I'm not allowed back on Letterman, and we're like, this guy might be a crazy man. So,
and that's the crazy thing.
yeah. And then after that, we went back and watched a movie at Angela's house, and I threw up that meal. So
the movie was that bad.
Oh, nice.
It was so yeah. It just everything about that date was weird and bizarre. So I think that was our 3rd anniversary, maybe, or something weird. I don't know, but yeah. So that was my awkward, weird story.
I don't think I've thrown up on any dates.
I threw up on a lot of days. In high school, I threw up all. Like,
Yeah, you did.
What do
You
you
threw
throw
up
up
all
so
the
much?
I just
time.
had a weak. Oh man.
You had a weak stomach.
Yeah.
It was like known that when
gosh.
we went to Los Bravos afterward, it was like leave the bathroom open because Chris is just gonna go home and throw up. Like that was just
This is a part of the routine.
I know.
Yeah, there was something in.
thing.
I don't know.
So
now
weird.
I eat
You did.
Bravos
You
like
had
twice a week, and I love it. I don't throw up
weak
anymore.
stomach.
I did. It would be like burnt hot dogs, or like on the grill. You get that. I don't know what I would just. I just had a weak like gag.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's rough.
Weird childhood. Now I haven't thrown up in years. It's great.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Got
You've
it out of your
evolved.
system.
I guess. You guys? Any
I
weird
don't know
awkward-
if I've had any like weird or awkward
I
dates.
wish. Oh man, I'm sure if I went through like Andy and I dated a long time too, like 5 years, so we have a lot of awkward dates. But I think one before him was this guy.
Oh.
No, this guy took me to an arcade, which was like, oh, this is great. We're gonna play arcade games. But the arcade it was 2-Bit Bandit, if you guys remember that.
2-Bit Bandit.
But it
I don't know that
had batting cages attached to it.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, I'm going to go to the batting cages. So I literally sat and watched him like hit balls. And I was like, is this like a showing off thing? Because this is
We were there for
super-
45
Yeah, I
minutes.
was like, this is
And he would
super
point on every one of them. He's like, bam. Turn around, just flex. You see that?
Man. So it didn't work out between you guys?
No, it did not. I just like felt awkward. Oh, and then
gosh.
we got pulled over on the way home because
Nice.
he was speeding, and then after he dropped me off and then went home, and he texted me or called me that he had gotten another ticket going home.
What?
So he got 2 tickets in one night. I was like,
Oh,
Man.
man. I thought he was going to ask you to pay for half of it or something. It's like, hey, we're going Dutch on this date.
absolutely not.
You got to pay for this ticket.
This day was already quarters anyway.
That sounds like a great date.
Oh, man.
I don't know what the issue was.
Anything?
I can't think of any like overly awkward. I don't remember throwing up on any dates or getting speeding tickets. So guess all of my dates have just been
No men
normal-ish.
researching magic law.
No, apparently not. So
I don't know. Oh, man. So, all right. Well, since you didn't end up with that guy. We're gonna get into NF's Gone.
Oh.
Because
All right.
NF again from the album Hope, which again I haven't listened to the whole thing yet because I'm reacting on the other channel. Check out that. But we reacted to this, and it's a breakup song, but unlike any that I've heard before, and so. It's a breakup song from like years down the road. Maybe a little bit. Wasn't there a country song like "Thank God for Unanswered Prayers" or something where it's kind of like
Big Green Tractor, I think it was. It's the only country song I know.
It was right after Tractor Sexy. It was like I think no, but like where he's like talking about it's like thank God like that I didn't end up with this person because I prayed for them or whatever. I don't know. It was. I don't listen to country, so I don't know why I brought it up. But
that's the furthest
but
thing.
Gone. So it's like he's writing this like years out after his breakup, and he's like, in it. It also has Julia Michaels who sang some song that was real popular.
She's a person you guys didn't even know who she was.
You know Julia. You would know the song. It starts with an I. I can't remember what it is, but anyway,
That narrows it down.
That does.
well, how many songs start with I? Name 3. See,
Inception.
All right. That's not a song.
That's a movie.
I will always love you.
Oh, gosh. All right. So, anyways, but so it's like he sings it from his perspective, and then he has her sing it from her perspective. And I don't know if he wrote both parts. I don't know how collabs work. So, but it's really
Collab.
Why does he say that?
what
Collabs?
Collab.
collabs. What's wrong with that?
I
Collaboration.
don't think that's how you say it.
Whatever. So, anyways, in it, he starts off by just saying like, I was always pessimistic. I was half glass, half empty. It was never full, and then he's like, but you were insecure, like, and so he's like, it was bad, like, so I don't know if this was a high school relationship or college or whatever, but it was like. It wasn't a good relationship to begin with, but he's like, but we tried to hold on to it. We tried to make it work. We did everything, but then it just didn't work out. And he's like, I don't know where you are now, but I hope you're okay. And he's like, I'm sorry for the way things ended because I guess I'm sorry for the way you left because I guess it didn't end well. But he's like, I hope you're good. Like, I hope things are well with you. And he's like, and sometimes it makes me sad that like just thinking about you. And so I was like, oh, that's a good perspective because and then her thing too, she's like, I tried to blame it on like we were too young, too dumb or whatever, but she's like, it's just that we weren't good for each other. Like, and she's one line, she said, I got carpal tunnel from holding on to what we once felt. I was like, oh, that's a good, but you don't like
your hands cramping up after.
I mean, it's just a good,
it's a good line.
It's a little cheesy, but I like it. Like it's that's what you're expecting a breakup song. Right? Those things, but like. One of my favorite breakup songs is Driver's License. I forget who. Do you remember who wrote that song?
Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah. That song.
I watched the React video.
Okay, be careful though, because the uncensored version has the F word in it, and the other version doesn't, and it's
they
still
say
great.
freak instead.
No, they don't.
It's
just like out. Like there's nothing in that place. But have you ever heard Driver's License? Oh,
maybe.
I heard like clips of it.
It's so good. And then somebody did a Blink-182 version of it that was fantastic. It was even better than the original. Excuse me. But yeah. So, but when you think about breaking up, like, the reason I like this is because, like, the worldview is that, like, there's more to life than just that moment. And I think, like, especially working with students for as long as I have, like, when there's a breakup, it's like, oh, this is it. Like, this was...
My life is over.
My life is over. Like, you were the one. Like, it's like you felt in that moment that this was going to be life, and then it doesn't happen. And so, I don't know, have you guys ever, like, looked back at past relationships and like, man, I'm really glad that didn't work out, or... like look back in a way that we're like, oh, that person was nice. It was great.
Yeah.
But like, it just didn't work.
And Andy's really the only person I ever officially dated.
Yeah,
so I am not really like,
unofficially.
I do remember in
Baseball boy.
Baseball boy. Was unofficial.
I will say, because I was the one that did not have boyfriends, I coached a lot of my friends through
there you go.
breakups and dating and like navigating high school and college relationships. So I do remember specifically one time, kind of this concept of like, this guy couldn't get over the girl or whatever, and I kind of remember telling him about the concept of like wishing someone well when you leave them, and remembering that was like pretty impactful for him, of being like, yeah, like we can move on, and I don't have to be angry at her. Like I can wish her well because I do like her.
And and that's what this song I think kind of
Yeah.
gets at. Is like, yeah, I hope you're good. He's like, now you're gone, but he's like,
Yeah.
but I hope things are good with you. I hope you found somebody. Like it's like, oh, usually when people break up, like, I hate you. I hope you burn.
Yeah. They make a diss track on the person.
Yeah. Taylor Swift. But
Look
And,
at
well,
you.
and you're dealing with people's emotions and feelings, and like this song says, there were good times, and you're dealing with like your relationship when broken. Relationships aren't meant to be broken, and so when there is heartache that comes in that, but I think that it's healthy to wish somebody well.
Yeah.
I heard a quote yesterday that said, if something is hard, it doesn't mean that it's bad. And I thought that was a good thing to think about, especially with breaking up. Like, breaking up is going to be very hard.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad.
Oh.
That's true. Well, and I like that you pointed out, too, sometimes, especially when you're younger, your friends or your family or other people around you will know that the two of you aren't good for each other.
Yeah.
But you're so
Yeah.
into it, you're like, no, they're my person. You don't know them like I do. And then after you've been out of the relationship, you look back and you're like, oh yeah, we really weren't good together.
Yeah.
So it was good that we're no longer together.
And in one of the lines, he said, we should have ended this on the first night.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't have gone past even like our first date. And so I think we have those instincts in us at times. Like, oh man, but they're really cute, or he could work on this, or she could do this better. Like, and we can get past those things. It's like, no, like, have your deal breakers. Like, we teach this in Truth Talk. I teach it in the high school. Like, we have a list of like must-haves.
Got to be
nice
6'4".
Yeah, and a lot of the girls, like, their must-have
6
is like
foot.
the guy has to be taller than them. Like, that's you're like, that's a must-have. Like, the
Do you
deal
guys have any weird deal breakers?
Any deal breakers?
If they had a cat, I think I'll be
If
like,
she had a cat.
I'm like, I don't know. This is gonna
Anyone
work.
I was interested in had to know at least 2 languages.
What?
That's kidding. That's totally made up.
Like, that is super high standards.
That narrows it down.
Yeah.
I want someone who's bilingual.
That makes me think of Pride and Prejudice when it's like the guy lists out like all these qualities, and she's like, there's no one that's going to meet those expectations. And he's like, are you so severe on your own sex? Anyway, sorry. It just reminded me of that. Mine was that they had to really like Lord of the Rings. I was like, they wouldn't understand me. So
They don't get me.
they wouldn't get me at all.
They don't get the journey of Frodo Baggins to the Mount Doom.
Yeah.
You don't understand me. That's funny.
And then Andy's never read them. And
Oh, no.
I know. So my own deal breaker.
I hope it works out.
Let's hope so.
So no, but I think and then like humor, like they had to get my brand of humor, because if you don't get this humor, it's gonna be a rough ride.
It's going to be a long day.
So I had friends like that in high school. They're like, just did not like me. I guess they weren't friends. But
Yeah.
no, I would make jokes and stuff. They're like, why are you so rude? I was like, wait, what? No,
That was a joke.
Well, jokes are funny. I was like, that was funny if you had a sense of humor.
Oh, got him.
So, but yeah, so check that song out. Enough's Gone. It's really good. Just about making sure that you're in a right dating relationship, and if you aren't, break up with them.
Stop
you got
it.
Your whole life.
Get some help.
Get out.
Get out of that.
So
Wish them well.
Yeah, wish them well, because and that is tough. Like, especially in the midst of it, like when it's young love and like you're like, I'm just gonna spend the rest of my life with this person. So
Yeah.
all right. So Jimmy, you kind of have a breakup story that you're involved with.
Yeah,
So-
this wasn't my personal
It's
breakup
time
story.
for the murder story.
This
The
is
murder
time for
story,
Jimmy
long
giving a
awaited.
murder
Giving
ride.
a murderer a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Here
Chris,
we
you've
go.
heard this story, right?
I love it.
Okay, so
I
you've heard
can't
this
wait.
story. Adrian, you've not heard
I
this
know.
story, and
coming
I'm
in.
sure a lot of you
My
home
blind reaction.
have
Here
not
we go.
heard this story. Now, I will say this story starts where every good story starts, and that's at a Taco Bell.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
and not just a Taco Bell, it was a Taco Bell after midnight, which is even better.
Yes.
Fourth meal.
Fourth meal. No, so kind of the backstory was I worked at Mike's car wash, and I actually cleaned it after all the cars went through at night. So I would get off work around.
Can you just turn on the car wash?
That's what everyone says. It goes on the walls. I have to get up there. And it's a whole thing.
Okay.
Beside the point.
Keep going.
So we have that, and then I wanted to, and I lived in Mount Vernon, so this was like a 45-minute drive. It's 12 o'clock. I'm like, I'm hungry, but the only thing that's open at 12 o'clock, Taco Bell.
Yeah.
So I go to the Taco Bell. And I'm like, I'm a simple man. I want just one Doritos Locos taco.
Ooh.
Just one.
What?
I was
Doritos
treating myself.
Locos
Normally I get
doesn't
the
sound
soft shell
simple.
tacos. I'm like, I want a Doritos Locos taco today.
I like a good Doritos.
I did, yeah. So I got it, paid for it, and my window was still down from ordering. I was about to open up the taco, and I was going, and my window was still down, and these two people were standing like in a little seating area out there, and they kind of flagged me down, and I'm like, because my window was down, I couldn't like just keep driving.
You could have.
Well, I
Yeah.
could have.
Could have kept
In
driving.
hindsight,
Or
I probably
you
should
would
have.
not have the story.
But
Probably. Okay.
so they're there,
my gosh.
and they stop me, and they're like, "Hey, look, our landlord just like changed the locks on our apartment. Like we can't get in. Like they were carrying stuff, they had bags or whatever, and they're like, we can't get in. Could you give us a ride to a hotel?" And I'm like, I like to be a nice guy. I like to help people out. And in my brain, I'm like, I'm not doing anything else tonight. I can go drop them off at a hotel. Being nice.
Burrito Locos taco after midnight.
Oh my gosh, haven't you listened to any podcast or anything?
No. So,
About
so
murder.
Oh my goodness.
So
Okay, I'm getting so scared already.
So they get in the back, and the other kind of important thing to know, which probably should have been a red flag at the time.
He's carrying a gun.
We'll get to that.
Oh my gosh, was he really?
No, they also said that they don't have their ID on them. So
Okay.
I didn't even ask if they had their ID on them, but they said that. So I'm like, okay. So, and I didn't know.
They're offering you information. Be like, this is a weird situation. I'm just gonna put it all out
That's
there. You're
true.
like, get in.
So we're at the Taco Bell, and I'm like, I don't know where any hotels are. So I put in my GPS hotels, and I clicked the first one that came up. It was a Jury Inn, and I think it was like 8 minutes away or something. So they're in the back. I'm in the front, full Uber mode here, and we go to the first hotel, the Jury Inn. Now the Jury Inn was under construction, and there was a lot of things. So at night you couldn't actually get in. Like they had the little door, and they had a phone outside, and you had to call the front desk for them to let you in. And we stood out there for like 5 minutes, and the guy just would not answer. And the other thing that was weird, so there was a guy and a girl. That
He probably went to Taco Bell after
it
midnight.
went to Taco Bell. So
He was busy.
and the girl was limping like the whole time, which was a little weird. And then later, the guy told me. So they told me their names were Jason and Erica. We had Jason and we had Erica.
Okay.
So Jason said that Erica had been limping because a couple weeks previously she got shot in the leg at point blank with a hollow point round. So apparently that hurts.
But why did she get shot?
And
He
why
didn't
would
say.
he offer that information?
Again.
He didn't say.
This is
So-
too many red flags already.
So
Oh my
we'll keep a red flag counter.
God. Ding, ding,
Yes,
ding,
exactly. So we're at the hotel, and we finally get in, and because it's under construction, there's not a whole lot of rooms. So the couple of rooms that they did have were too expensive for their taste. So we're like, okay, we got to go somewhere else. So we go to another hotel.
Oh my.
Tell them the story.
Hotel 2.
The Hotel 2, and because they didn't have an ID, they said that we needed to get the hotel under my name because they didn't have an ID. And I didn't really red
Okay.
flag number whatever.
Ding.
So that was
5.
another one.
Oh
And
gosh.
but at the time I was only 20, so they wouldn't actually give me the room because I wasn't 21 and I wasn't staying there. So second hotel didn't work. So put it back in my GPS, and we had been driving around for quite a while at this point.
Yeah,
like this
what
is
the-
You're like, oh,
is this
sorry,
like
I'm done.
12:45 at this point.
Okay.
And
gosh.
so I put in hotel one more time.
Hotel 3.
Hotel 3, and it is the Howard Johnson Hotel. Not a sponsor. And
out to
well,
Hojo.
the ironic thing is, if you look, you could probably take a rock if you're standing in the Taco Bell parking lot and hit the Howard Johnson
So you're
from
like
the Taco.
back.
Yes, so it's actually like right next door, but my GPS didn't pull it up the first time.
Thanks
So
to
okay.
GPS.
yeah, so went to Howard Johnson, and it's so late at night that we go and ask the guy, and he said, we're shutting down for the night. We're updating our servers for the night, so you guys are going to have to wait like 30 minutes. So we're just like,
So you wait.
Oh
so
my
we're in
gosh.
the hotel
Jimmy.
lobby just looking around, and
Jimmy.
and Jason, he's a little bit paranoid for whatever reason. Like he keeps like looking
For
around.
whatever reason.
And-
Ding. Red flag.
Yes.
Number six.
So we're there, and finally we get it. They actually get it under my name, but they pay for it. They have a credit card, and for whatever reason, I take them up to the room and say
You
goodbye.
took them up to their room.
I was trying to
Red
be
flag
nice.
number 7. Ding.
I was being courteous.
Here we go.
So
You've driven around for like an hour and a half.
yeah,
That's
so it's
courteous
literally
enough.
like 1:30 at night,
Oh
and so finally dropped them off there, and I start driving home. And the real tragedy of the first part of the story is I look in my floorboard, and my Doritos Locos taco is right there. And I forgot about it, and it's cold. And I just
gosh.
wanted a Doritos Locos taco, and it was cold.
You're right there by Taco Bell. You just go
Now
around
I'm like,
again.
okay, I'm just gonna go home. It's 1:30. So
me.
that's kind of where that part of the story ends. And then I just don't think about it. And then I'm taking a nap one day after work, and I had a call, and I got a voicemail, and the voicemail said, "This is Detective da 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 from the Evansville Police Department. We're looking for Jimmy Marshall, and call us back today, or we're gonna come to your house or your workplace." So I'm like, I better call him back then. And so I called him, and the answers, and he's like, "Do you know why we're calling?" I'm like, "No, why are you calling?" And he's like, "Were you at the Howard Johnson on this day?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you know what happened?" I'm like, "No."
Oh gosh. I'm
So what
nervous.
happened? Because I kind of tell him what I told you
know why
guys,
I'm
the
laughing.
story all the way from the Doritos Locos taco to taking him to the hotel, and he said that night, Jason. Well, I told him their names are Jason and Erica. He's like, their names aren't Jason and Erica. They're fake names. So it was Neil and Monica, and Monica was actually a missing person from Washington. So that was a thing.
My
But
I'm just looking
gosh.
around.
exactly, so paranoid. But what happened that night is Neil, I think he was relatively recently out of prison, and he actually shot and killed Monica in the hotel room that night with a gun.
Yeah.
He did have a gun on him.
He did have a gun the whole time.
Oh,
I'm not
my.
laughing because it's funny. I'm
It's
laughing
just-
because it's
it's a
insane.
terrible story.
Scary.
It's a terrible story. So yeah, he had the whole gun with him the
What?
whole time. And I remember, so that was kind of where it left it there, and that's kind of all the details I had. And I remember I was walking with Malia, and we were going to her grandparents' house. And we walked in, and on the TV is like on the news, we see his mugshot, and I'm like,
Have you seen this
like,
man? And it
I
has
gave that
your
dude a
picture on
ride.
it. Yeah.
well, and luckily the
Jason.
detective never called me back or anything, because I guess my story was believable because it was just so outrageous.
Yeah.
And apparently, so what had happened, because I looked at like the police report like down the line, and so he had killed her and then taken a bunch of blankets and like wrapped her body up. And then someone came to the hotel with a van, and they loaded her body into the van and then dropped it off at an abandoned house. And the people in the van, they said they didn't know that there was a body in the blankets.
What?
So I don't know how they pulled this off, but
Apparently he's got a nice face and it's like, hey, I need a ride.
he was actually in the mugshot. I always tell people when I show him the mugshot, I'm like, I'd like to think he didn't look this sketchy when I picked him up, because he looks quite sketchy.
Mugshots always look
Oh my
crazy.
Well,
goodness.
and the crazy thing was how they actually found him, because they didn't find him at the hotel. Is he said one, he was telling people that he killed his wife. They were actually engaged, but and then he was hyped up on meth, and he was shooting at cars that were passing by. So that's how the police found him and then connected him to
And then
this.
Oh my
And
goodness,
then they're
Jimmy.
telling the story like, I
It's
think we
a
should
wonder
just
that you're
I
here.
think we should just arrest you because you have no common sense, Jimmy.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my
there was quite a
gosh.
few red flags in there. Now I have not picked up any one since then, especially
so your
after
worldview
midnight.
changed that day. Like, I shouldn't just give random people a Taco Bell
Yeah,
oh
after
my
midnight a ride.
goodness.
I try to be a nice guy, but luckily I didn't die.
You should tell that story to Rainn Wilson's podcast. What is it?
Oh.
People doing weird things.
But there's
People
so
doing weird
many
things.
stories like that
Yeah.
where they've
the
given
red
like
flags.
serial killers a ride and stuff like that.
But Jimmy, would you say you did this because love is blind? You
Yes.
you showed love to this
Oh.
person, and
Love is
Look
blind.
at that
Seamless transition to the next
Way.
segment.
All right.
So that was the fun, weird story for the day.
That was our Florida foible. We didn't.
It wasn't from Florida.
It was not, but it was from.
It
was a foible.
for sure.
Yeah, gosh. Well, I don't know why we laugh at that, but
Yeah.
We will have to keep
crazy.
from weeping.
It is
Yeah.
so crazy.
But,
Wow.
So be careful who you give rides to.
That's
All right.
true.
So Jimmy,
Ooh, okay.
you've watched Love Is Blind.
Love
It's
is
your new show.
Blind.
You've seen some of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you
not.
seen it? Okay, you've not seen any of it.
I saw a little bit of The Circle, which seems similar.
So you're
I don't
coming
know.
into this conversation blind.
Blind.
Oh, good,
Love
man.
is blind. So if you haven't seen it, the basic idea of it is you have a group of guys and a group of girls, and they are each in these individual pods. Like they can't see each other. They're in like their own small room, and they go on these blind dates with like all of the other guys that go with all the other girls. So you go in there with a room, and you can't see the other person. You only hear their voice, and you write down their names and all different things you learn about them, and you're basically dating them. And this goes on for
So is it like speed dating where you have multiple people that you?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah. So you're
Okay.
basically dating all the guys, and then as it progresses a little bit, you kind of get to choose who you meet up with. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna meet up with Sally today instead of all these other people that I don't like as much. So this goes on for like a week and a half to almost 2 weeks. And what starts the next phase of the process is they have to decide, they have to propose to someone. So the guy or the girl can do it, but they choose someone and then ask them to marry them. And all the people that get proposed to move on to the next stage
What? So you propose,
without ever seeing them.
but how long have you had conversations for?
Less than 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is what our society is. Okay.
Yeah, so you have that, and then once
Okay.
so once you've been proposed to, then you're at like this long hallway, and then there's the grand reveal where you see the person that you're now engaged to.
Ah.
And then they take all the couples, and they go on like this group honeymoon where they do different activities with each of the couples, or just kind of activity as a group. And then like 2 or 3 weeks after that, they have the wedding day. The wedding day for all the engaged couples.
So from not knowing the person till marriage is about 4 weeks.
Correct. And
I love America.
you love it.
I love
Yeah.
our world.
So, and
Yeah.
the craziest part is because then at the end of the experiment, they decide if they want to actually get married, legally married to this person,
Okay.
or walk away forever. And they invite all their friends, they get the wedding all set up, and they walk up to the aisle. And when they say their I do's, that's when they get to decide.
What? So
That's
can
when
say,
they have to say, I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah.
I do or I don't.
Well, yeah. So, and then if you're the first person, you say I do. Then the other person, because this happened before, where they say no, I can't do this. So then you're just sitting there in front of all your friends and family in all this wedding stuff, and then
It's like torture.
Why do they go through
For the drama.
For the drama, for
the
sure.
drama?
So what's the worldview
Oh my
on this?
gosh.
well, kind of the whole idea of the experiment is so they're creating this emotional connection with
Yeah.
each other
Which
beforehand.
I like that aspect of it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and there have been some couples where they're like, yeah, I would never give this person the time of day in the normal world, but now I have this really cool relationship with them.
Wait,
Yeah.
this isn't the show where they have that weird makeup stuff on them, is it?
No,
No.
that
Okay.
I think that's different. I know what you're talking
All right.
about.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
It's not that one. All right. So, when it comes to relationships, yeah, that's what I think a lot of the dating shows, because The Bachelor and all that stuff, it's all about the looks, right?
Yeah.
And so I like that they take that aspect out of it a little bit.
But they made it almost worse.
Then,
Well, why can't there be this happy medium where it's they just
Because
see
that's
if
not
they're-
entertaining.
No.
Well, and that's where you get into trouble with these type of shows, because you have to have the entertaining factor
Yeah.
and the cringe factor, and are they going to go through with it?
Exactly.
Because the suspense of saying I do and somebody saying I don't,
Right at the end, yeah,
Yeah, of
that's
course.
pretty great actually.
it is.
For entertainment, but
Right.
for actual love and and that's what I think. The worldview is just that marriage is kind of a
game.
Yeah.
a thing that you do that's just for fun. It's not an actual covenant between you and this other person. It's oh, we had fun. You're what?
Yeah.
I mean, are we didn't?
Yeah, or you didn't have fun.
So But is it obvious that they're going to say no or not, or is it kind of like?
So the first season, I was surprised on probably half of them. Where I'm like, there's no way these people are going. But there are some like obvious ones, like and it's pretty entertaining to watch because there'll be like the girl's not interested at all, and the guy is, and it's just. But the guy's convinced
feel so
that.
bad for him.
Yeah, like you should have stopped this day one because she does not like you.
Has anybody like when they look at the other person, they're like, I'm out.
In this episode or the season that I watched, the girl, she kind of hinted at it. She's like, I don't know if I can do this. So almost trying to, without outright saying, hey, I'm not attracted to you. I want out of this. And then like a week later, then she just left the honeymoon and went home.
Oh gosh.
Wait, the honeymoon?
Yeah. So they go on like this group honeymoon where
they call it a honeymoon, but it's before the wedding.
It's before the wedding.
See, again, backwards.
Exactly. It's all backwards.
Yeah.
But so it was kind of interesting to see those because there are definitely some where it's like, no, this person is not physically attracted to me at all. So you can kind of see that it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And then it ends up not working.
So, but physical attraction is part of relationships. Like, it's like you have to like the other person physically, but I mean that changes over time.
Yeah.
But like your physical appearance, but that's part of it. But I like that they take it's just the emotional connection. Then you have the physical part into it because I think a lot of times we will make judgments on people based on how they look, and they could be great people, but
maybe a little bit longer than 4 weeks.
Yeah,
that'd be a good idea.
A little bit. That's back in the 20s. They dated for 4 weeks, and got married for life. We're married 80 years. Like, wait, you got married when you were 15? Yeah, that's how it was back then.
That's how it was back
then.
then.
I mean, there's a lot of cultures that have arranged marriages still.
Yeah,
and that's like the whole family's behind it. There's long-term commitment. And these people some are like very happily married and learn to love each other.
Yeah, because I used to think arranged marriages were dumb, and I heard a different perspective on it, where it was talking about how you're like, yeah, no, you have a group of people that really love you, that are trying to find somebody that's really going to be great for you, and then you have another couple or another family that's doing the same thing. Is like, yeah, it's going to be kind of good. And you're like, oh.
But don't you have like other arranged marriages where it's just for like from a financial standpoint, it's like we're going to do this so that our family has more power now, or for just terrible reasons that
there's always
here
ways to
have our
things.
daughter,
Yeah,
and then you give us money
and cows
2 pigs and 1 chicken.
And a bowl of rice. So, but I don't know. But that trying to, I don't know. I appreciate that they're trying to do something different with the dating show genre because that kind of has become. Did you never a Bachelor person?
I watched one full season
every week.
No,
I've
not actually watched it.
I despise that show. I did watch The Circle, but The Circle's not. I mean,
The Circle's different.
It's weird
because then you have
I watched a few episodes.
Some people are catfishing there, and it's not like you're trying to build a relationship. You're trying to be the most popular one at the end of it.
Oh, is it? I guess I didn't get that far.
Oh, nice.
No, I can't do any of those dating shows. To me, it twists what real love is so horribly.
Yeah.
One way or the other. Yeah. Love is Blind, it still twists it. Bachelor, that's all appearance and
Bachelorette.
And Bachelorette. Yeah, they never last anyway. I don't think there's one successful marriage out of how many seasons. It clearly doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so it's just this kind of, to me, they're all pretty grotesque interpretations of what love really truly is.
Well, and then people that watch this get this idea of this is what love is, and because a lot of it is,
this is what the dating scene should look like.
Yeah, and a lot of it is based on engaging in sexual activity before marriage, and so it's we're attracted to each other and all this stuff. And I haven't seen any of these, but I know there's one that it's it's not called Celibate Island, but it's kind of that. It's we're gonna go to this island and basically dress up people very provocatively, and then you can't touch them or whatever. Or maybe you can kiss and that's it. And it's they're just trying to see how far they can go. And you're what is this?
It's a weird show.
I've not seen it. I've only read the description of it because it was there's so many dating shows and stuff. Come on, what? Yeah. I don't know, but so. what have we learned today?
So much, I feel like.
Don't give
Love
people
is
ride
blind
after midnight.
in so
Talk
many
about-
ways.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
it takes time to get to know somebody, but like you also, I think like there's a self-awareness that you have to like, because I feel like the one thing I did right in life was my relationship with my wife. Like it was like everything else, but that.
At least you got that.
No, because I mean, because there were people that like that had wanted to date me, and I was like friends with them, but I didn't want to hurt them. And then it was like, oh, but if I keep going down if I keep like saying yes to like, hey, we can go hang out, and yes, we can do this stuff, but I'm like, I have no intention of ever dating them.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to lead that person on, and so. So it was kind of a breakup, but not really because we were just friends. But it was like kind of like, hey, we're gonna have to part ways because you were wanting more out of this friendship than I'm wanting, and that was really tough for me because it was like we had to have some pretty serious conversations of like why I friend zone this person basically and stuff like that. But it was like, but I feel like the dating scene now is so crazy with Tinder and all the like all the apps and the shows and all this stuff. It's like I don't know. Like if I was growing up in that era, I might have had a lot of different view on like what dating and all that stuff was.
Yeah.
So be wise in your relationships and listen to the people around you. Maybe not Jimmy.
It's true.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, he's got good love advice, but not giving people rides advice.
That's true.
Jimmy became known as the Uber driver for murderers. But yeah, so be careful in how you date and just like spend time getting to know people ahead of time. That's what I did. Just hang out with people. Group date. Hang out.
Group date.
All that.
That's weird.
Hey, thanks for joining us on Worldview Finder. I was keep wanting to call it Podcast Viewfinder, but that was from a different era.
Yeah, different era.
So I'm Chris.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jimmy.
We'll see you next
See you next time.